The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, DavidWhite. Now, the author of The Path of Least Resistance and the Tech Insider, DavidWhite.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble and lovable host, DavidWhite. It is a interesting day in the markets. I was expecting a little bit of a bounce out here today, and we're getting a little bit of a bounce, and that is 4 points up on the S&P cash, and not much. It's okay volume. 2.16 billion shares as we speak on the consolidated New York Stock Exchange tape, and it is interesting to say the least. Let's put it that way. It is a little bounce out here, and of course probably a little bit on the president at the UN today, and everybody hanging around singing Kumbaya, and the markets are calmed. They've been calmed. On this day in 1789, the Judiciary Act is passed by Congress and signed by the President George Washington, establishing the Supreme Court of the United States as a tribunal made up of 6 justices who were to serve on the court until death or retirement. And I guess we got more now, more than 6, so something else happened along the way. I didn't stop to read anymore. That was about enough. It was kind of a boring day in history, actually. A lot of people talking and discussing things throughout the history, but not any one really big thing out here. But we do have some new things, or at least some things popping up in the world out here, and part of that is the X-Files. Yes, we need Dana Scully and Fox Mulder to get on this case, because something's happening in the stock market, and it must be aliens that are to blame, because we know nobody would be doing this kind of thing in the stock market. They're all honest out here. But someone traded the Fed news early and bought about $600 million in gold futures, 4 milliseconds faster than was possible at the speed of light. When the Fed disseminates their news, in this case, they were not going to be doing any tapering. About 4 milliseconds before, it would have taken 7 milliseconds to get across the country. 3 milliseconds after the decision, or 4 milliseconds before it's physically possible, someone bought $600 million in gold. Now, the question is, how did this happen? Everybody's speculating, but I think the best idea yet is that some of these companies that are disseminating news decided to try to get around the dissemination and make a lot of money for themselves by disseminating it locally, i.e. they put some kind of server in Chicago next to the options exchange or the futures for gold, and we're going to just release it there exactly at 2 o'clock. And actually, they do have this thing linked up to the atomic clock in Colorado, and it's down to 5 billionths or 100 billionths of a second. And until that little beep goes off, no one can send their information off. The data actually comes out as a as a machine-only readable news blip. And of course, all this stuff, they give them about 15 minutes. They lock them in a room, give them about 15 minutes. They can set everything up, and they actually turn on the internet theoretically at 2 o'clock. But kind of importantly enough, someone was able to buy in 3 or 4 milliseconds faster than anybody else. Find out that the Fed was not going to taper and run gold. And if you bought $600 million worth of gold, futures, what were they worth 20, 30, 40 minutes later, or 2 days later? But it's always nice to know what's going to happen long before anybody else is telling you. So, yep, that was it. But we want to thank again Nanex, not to be confused with our friends here, Nadex. Nanex is an outfit out of Chicago that keeps data on every nanosecond of the stock market each day. They found this information and published it. Now the SEC actually has to come off and get off their big fat rears and figure out what they're going to do about how technology can always circumvent what they did. Now, the agreement with all the news services was that it was not going to leave that Washington office before 2 o'clock. It had to, or we need Fox Mulder and Dana Scully back from the X-Files to figure out how they shaved 3 seconds off the speed of light, 3 milliseconds actually. But that's all it needs. Presumably, it's going to be easy to figure out who bought $600 million worth of gold futures all in 1 second, or actually in a millisecond. So I don't think this is going to be a real whodunit. The question is going to go back to the news service and whether that news service is going to get kicked out. Almost all the stuff is being discovered because our friends at Nanex, and I email back and forth between Eric Hunsetter there. Some of you may have remembered that early on in this show, I think the first 3 months or something, I had him on as a guest. We talked about the flash crash. He showed exactly the data and had the charts to back it up. Of course, the SEC and everybody else decided to look elsewhere and ignore the actual data and come up with something else that basically we're going to kind of avoid the whole idea of the flash crash being caused by someone out there with fat fingers and a system that will execute in a millisecond. But interestingly, we're probably going to find out about these folks, and I don't know if the traders actually can be in trouble, but they can kick the people that disseminated this before the 2 o'clock deadline out, and it may be worth their money. You bought $600 million worth of gold, and it went up 10% or something. That's $60 million. Maybe they'll give them a couple million for the troubles. My guess is not. They'll just go, too bad, we made our $60 million, and that's it. Other things going on in the market today is, something happened here that I dislike, and I'm not exactly sure what. Let's try this again here. Okay. Chrysler is filing for its IPO. And what this is really about is Chrysler had unions. Unions owned a stake in the company. And now they're fighting over what that stake is worth if sold to the remainder, 41.5% sold to Fiat. Of course, Chrysler's doing pretty good. And why there's been an offer at for as high as $8 billion from Fiat for the remainder of those 41% shares. The people are actually trying to weasel them down, and Chrysler thinks that they can get a lot more by going an IPO. And if you look at the value of a GM for what it makes opposed to other companies, huge premium. And Chrysler kind of thinks that maybe they'll be able to get the exact same thing. Of course, this is what is known as, trying to remember if it's in this there, I think it's AIW or something. That is the spinoff. Chrysler are actually one of the better companies because they went bankrupt in the 80s. They were one of the few companies that the UAW's agreement with had all the money set aside. Now, this didn't please the mob bosses at all because they couldn't steal it. This was actually in New York City, and everything on all the checks and balances were there. You couldn't loan money to the to the mob out in Las Vegas. It was 86, 87, 88, I think it's all right in there. And I knew some people that had worked for Chrysler at the truck plant, or the pickup plant, and it's kind of interesting. But look for them. I don't know if they're actually going to go as an IPO. If they can get more money, they will do that. But the pension fund is not wanting to wait any longer. They think that this is probably the sweet spot of getting the most amount of money for that remaining 41% shares. And that's pretty much it. Not a lot of news going on in the markets today. We're going to look at some charts here fairly soon. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648, 877-927-6648. And there was a couple of things that kind of struck me this morning. We're going to go back and look at those pretty quickly, I think, if I can get to them. Trying to remember which one it was. It was Nugget. We were looking at Nugget and the lows out here. And, it's out here. Certainly looks to me like even though we've got a bounce out of here and a couple of gaps that have acted as support, we did have far too much volume on the September 13th low at 52.57, 5.4 million shares as we came into that. And it is... we've kind of gone through that with lighter volume. We knew they're probably going to come back at least and test that 52.57. But we still have a decent-sized low out here at 45.50. And I think what we're looking for out here for the gold miners is to test that 45.50 in the NUGT, which is the 3-time share ETF, and probably even go below it. I suspect we could see a huge move to blow out that low intraday and then close back above it. And then that would probably be the bottom for the miners and gold themselves. When we look at some of the futures around, what we are looking at is gold, and it's off like 90 cents today, 13.26 and 10 cents as we speak. Silver off a nickel at $21.80. Platinum up $4.55 at $14.26. More interestingly to me is if the dollar index can hold here. Right now we're at $80.67, up 9 cents. The question is just how well is that going to work out? We've got some bigger stocks out here. Apple, one of the other things I wanted to get to but happened late is a discussion of whether or not their number this weekend that they said was at 9 million iPhones is a little tough to find out whether or not they're actually telling the truth. Oh, we got more X-Files here. Wow, interesting. We'll be back in a minute.
Andy Hecht, the host of the Commodities Hour, recently launched his newsletter service, the Technomental Commodity Report, and only 6 weeks in, Andy has already recorded a triple-digit winner. Andy advised his subscribers to purchase a long-term call option at 46 cents on July 11th, and then sent out a special update Friday, August 16th, advising his subscribers to close that position at $1.40. That's a 204% profit in just 5 weeks. The Technomental Commodity Report by Andy Hecht is released each Thursday morning, and right now you can get a month-long free trial to this subscription while locking in the low introductory rate of only $39 a month. Andy Hecht has been a commodities trader for over 3 decades. Let his experience work for you. Sign up for your month-long free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report today at TFNN.com.
With the launch of Tiger TV, TFNN has brought our programming to the next level. With Tiger TV, you can gain access to each host's charts and computer screens as they host their daily stock program. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pesavento, Andy Hecht, Victor Jones, or Daryl Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV for your viewing pleasure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't checked out Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com and see what you're missing.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investments, and whether you're bullish or bearish on U.S. Treasuries, the ETFs from Direction Shares are there to help you magnify your perspective. Bull ETFs for a rising market and bear ETFs for a falling market. Direction Shares gives you the tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC. Wouldn't it be great if you could get a red light, green light indicator that gives you signals on 25 different futures contracts? Now you can with Taz Signal Box. This red light, green light market profile system dynamically updates 24 hours a day and provides you with important trend and trade signals on 9 different commodities, 9 different indices, and 8 different currencies. Right now, you can receive a 2-week free trial to Taz Signal Box. For all the details and to find out how the Signal Box works, visit the front page of TFNN.com. McEwen Mining is a high-growth, mid-tier producer in the Americas with a market capitalization of $1 billion. Experienced mining executive Rob McEwen, as chairman, CEO, and president, owns 25% of the outstanding shares of McEwen Mining and has put in place an ambitious business plan with the goal of qualifying for inclusion in the S&P 500 by 2015. With $70 million in cash and liquid assets as of the end of 2012 and completely debt-free, McEwen Mining is poised for growth. Production in 2013 is forecasted to grow at 24%, reaching 130,000 gold equivalent ounces, and over the next 3 years, McEwen Mining projects that their production will increase to 290,000 gold equivalent ounces, almost a 3-fold increase from last year's totals. If you'd like to find out more about McEwen Mining, click on their banner on the front page of TFNN.com or check them out on the NYSE or TSX under the symbol MUX.
Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And we are back. We were talking about Apple before we went, and they said that they sold 9 million iPhones over the weekend. Now, when Android says that they sold so many, you'll notice that the quote says we had 5 million or 1 million or 3 million activations over the weekend for new cell phones. And that tells you someone actually physically bought the product. What we don't know is actually how many iPhones were actually activated this weekend, people bought. And some were talking about Apple's call to investor relations being ignored when people ask if those were activations and actual sales or if just retail establishments bought them. And like I said, Apple, not a bad company, makes good products, but they will go to extremes to twist whatever the truth is for their own PR gains. And I think that we're not seeing much in the way of any follow-through after yesterday's big gap up suggests that they are probably true. Of course, what we are also seeing is that Apple is just filling that gap down and is staying in that gap. And, you gap down with 32 million shares. Yesterday you had 27 million shares, and today it's going to be a light as we go back and work on this gap that happened back on the 11th. So we can always be taking a look at that. Anyway, other things that we have that I wanted to take a quicker look is that, natural gas is a little bit off. UNG's off 54 cents as we speak. We pretty much had our first little bounce. The next bounce is to come. A weighing on natural gas is supply. And there was a little bit of thought over the last few weeks that the president was going to be forced to allow new pipelines to allow natural gas to get out of especially the Balkan region and Wyoming and all up in there. And the longer this is delayed, the bigger problem it becomes for actually getting natural gas somewhere. And for me, I can't understand I can understand the politics of it. And that is that there are a certain amount of people that hate all energy in the United States, whether it's wind power killing birds as they fly by, whether it's all kinds of stuff. I guess the only thing they really like is solar energy, which of course they ignore all the byproducts of heavy metals that are used in the manufacturing. But it is an issue. But there are 12 million miles of pipelines traveling under the surface of the United States, and we have probably less than one incident per year. It is 100 times safer than moving it by rail car, and people still hate it. And of course, yes, William Buffett, somebody in the end brought it up. He's got all the train companies. Although I did see him start moving into the natural gas industry here lately. I suspect that he knows that he can only delay it so long, and that's at least the theory that since he owns the rail cars, that they are forced to move oil and liquefied natural gas by train. And of course, he owns every single one of the big train companies out there. So whoever gets it, he still wins. And that's part of being a huge operator. It would be unfortunate if truly he is putting his profits against the not just financial well-being, but the military well-being of the United States and its ability to supply itself in a time of need with power. Anyway, we've got plenty of time today. Why don't you give me a call at 877-927-6648. That's 877-927-6648. And we'll be nice to take a look. Wanted to check in we've got just a little time with IBM. And rather interesting out here. It is kind of come back off that high once again, and the question is whether or not this thing is setting up its eventual ABC down. And when we look at the expansions on this, it's at 200, isn't it? Let's take a quick look here. I think so. Select this A. Actually, select this A. And we'll do this during the break, and we'll come back in a minute. Give me a call, 877-927-6648, 877-927-6648.
With the stock market flirting with all-time highs and volatility back, now is the perfect time for a 2-week free trial to Market Insights. On Monday, June 24th, Tom O'Brien closed out all 5 open positions in his daily newsletter, Market Insights, with all trades being profitable and ranging from a 2.23% gain all the way to more than an 11% gain in just one position for an incredible 32.7% profit combined between the 5 trades. Let Tom O'Brien's years of market experience work for you. If you'd like to see for yourself what kind of trading newsletter Tom O'Brien delivers to his clients each morning, then now is a perfect time to sign up for a 2-week free trial to his daily newsletter, Market Insights. In a volatile market like we currently have, the potential for fast market moves like we've seen recently is a trader's dream. So don't wait any longer. Sign up for your 2-week free trial to Market Insights today at the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors.
Daryl Martin coined the phrase diagnostic trading, and we're happy to announce that his diagnostic box spread analyzer has finally been released. The Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer helps you easily identify the best box spreads on Nadex in seconds, plus you receive access to the diagnostic deviation levels, as well as step-by-step training videos teaching you how to trade Nadex spreads so you can quickly master the mechanics of this simple yet powerful trading instrument. By pulling live data from the Nadex exchange, the Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer does all the math for you, calculating risk, reward potential, distance to break even for both outright spreads and spreads used to hedge the underlying market. Visit the front page of TFNN.com today to get your 2-week free trial to Daryl Martin's Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer and gain access to the valuable information it can provide when trading the Nadex box spreads. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Harmony Gold. For more information, just click the Harmony Gold banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And we're back, and we've got a caller here, if I can get this thing to move up here, and it's Ron in Denver. How you doing today, Ron?
Hi, David. How you doing, sir?
Good.
In the past, you mentioned sometimes regarding the S&P, where the option buyers are projecting it's going to close and so forth. Mm-hmm. I just wondered, on a weekly basis, do you have any probability or predictions for the
weeklies?
Range
there aren't, compared to no matter what anybody tells you, it doesn't matter what the weeklies do.
I see.
It is okay. Only about the monthly options. The weekly options have a premium so high that it doesn't matter. You really can't figure out. Everybody loses. Let me put it that way. On weekly options, unless something happens out of the blue, like the planet gets hit by a meteor, everybody loses. It's like playing them in the last week. Your odds are very low of getting a move in the last few minutes of Friday. But it's let me put it that way. There just aren't enough of them to be predictive. Everybody says that there are, and the people that are pushing options and are pushing you to play options are highly optimistic about the number and dollar value of what that is, and also that since they are so expensive, the people that really have the skin in the game, the huge street names that are trading stocks in their own funds, They don't play weekly options, unless it's like something for earnings. Maybe they'll hedge an earning or something, but for the most part, they just don't play weekly options. They're just way too expensive. Most of them are buying at least 45 to 60 days out, if not 90.
I appreciate the information. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, if he's talking about my predictions a lot of times for what's going to happen on expiration. We were talking about IBM just a few minutes ago, and for those that don't get my daily newsletter, I'd been trying to get into 190. I was pretty sure that IBM would get awful close to 190 for expiration, and actually tried in the newsletter to get it a couple of times late last week, and it basically on Thursday and Wednesday, and it came with like about a dime. I was trying to buy it for $1.10 and a buck. And I ended up buying it personally on Friday when we had that little bounce up to 194. But if you go back and look at the options expiration for IBM, and a huge example of them pinning to a price on expiration. Same thing with, for the most part, for Apple. They were trying to get that thing to expire at about 475 or so. And for the most part, let me get that back up. For the most part, what we saw, let's see, today's Tuesday, it was Friday, was them getting it right up there in the close, 467. It was fairly close to what it was. It could have been anywhere from 465 to 475. Would have been in the sweet spot for that expiration day. And really, you can see a lot of these bigger companies, especially the blue chips and the Dow stocks, react better to this method, and that is by looking at where the monthly options expiration is going to be. And not only do I like that, if you catch some of my shows from last week, I was showing the crossover where both the September and October's on both on IBM actually showed exactly 190, and closing out at 190 cents. But I think I ended up buying the puts for on Friday for 130, 150 or something, and got out of them at like 350. I'll have to go back and look at my trade. But there are a few trades to be made on White Lightning. And I like it when some of these big companies come on like Apple or IBM, and you can buy the options correctly. But a little too fast even for me to get into the newsletter. But I sprang for it and got rewarded. But it's not an easy thing to do through a newsletter. But you can always look for those things. And if you have any questions about it, I wrote an article a long time ago, 2004. In Stocks and Commodities magazine about how options act at expiration. It's a little tougher today because of some things happening in the marketplace. But if you want and you haven't gotten that article from me, you can always email me at path@tfnn.com, and it explains a little bit how options expiration week actually works out. But interesting to say the least. Other things of interest out here, I had been short X1. We talked about it for a while. In fact, what was it? Was it Friday? A week ago Friday. Oh, time passes so quick. We replayed the call I had on the 3D 3D printer price point. And how a bunch of shares were coming into this sector. And one of the things I did want to show you is that, of course, we were talking about X1, both the IPO lockup and a secondary came out at the same time. And this is a really good example of how to use the power law vector indicator number. When you see, basically this move from June 5th of this year up to the high on July 9th, it is quite telling. But in the power law vector indicator number, you see 2.7 on the way up. Pretty much the identical move on this way back down is 4. That would tell me right away that I'm not expecting any huge rally off this, what is now support level. Maybe it bounces $5 or something. Of course, it can do that intraday. But what I am saying is that this has come down on heavy volume, and the best thing you can hope for is this thing to consolidate out for a while. I think personally this thing's coming back down to 29, but I don't have a lot more in the charts right now to say that that's going to happen anytime soon. I just think, especially yesterday, when I start seeing the CEOs coming out hawking their companies like 3D Systems and making new highs on very light volume, I'm starting to think that these guys are trying extremely hard to whip the pony. And every time I've seen that in the past, especially in these high flyers, they've come back to earth rather quickly. Some of you people might remember, I'm kind of flashing back here to a couple of trades. One of the first things I ever talked about was Molycorp on this show. What has that been, 2010? I think it's so. Anyway, I bought it at about 14, sold it at 46 or 48 or something. And the reason I sold it at 48 was the CEO came on and was on every single show he could get on in financial infotainment, hawking and flogging his stock. And I wasn't sure exactly, the stock didn't act very strong there, but went up to, next week went up to $79, and that has been it. And why you can, if I was sitting on $48 where I'd bought something at 14, I think anybody would say, hey, you've got a nice move out here, and everybody would think, well, you've got another $30 up. Unfortunately, when they're hawking a stock like that, it is so easy for those things to break, and you almost not getting ever a chance to get out of them. But this thing started acting weak right around 48 or $50, but at the exact same time, the CEO was out whipping it. And we're seeing the same thing in the CEOs of these 3D companies, which makes me think we're maybe in a short-term high for some of these stocks, and that there's probably a lot more supply coming on, and these guys are quite active in making sure Wall Street finds and asks for every seat for every one of these shares that has to find its way into the marketplace. But Molycorp, a little bit different issue, but the hair on the back of my neck stood up when I saw this guy hawking his stock. Instead of talking about the future, he was talking about the president, how much money they were making now. Just a lot of red flags went off, bells went off, and I got out of the thing. But you never can tell. Anyway, probably at consolidation levels. When we look at some other companies, I've had this one in the newsletter for a couple of days. Got some questions out here. Okay, just looking at some questions in the den. It says, yeah, well, we'll get to Netflix in a second. $48 is the high out here on YY, and that actually came back on August 2nd of this year. Hang on a second. Something's going on here. I'm having a few technical difficulties, which I normally don't have any at all, but we'll figure them out. Anyway, I was looking at YY out here. August 2nd, $48, 4.6 million shares. Got up to it with 3.5 million shares on the 10th of this month, and of course, last couple of days, 2.1 million shares. And 1.5 million shares on the 20th. We've pulled back into this trading range. And this is more the setup that I'm finding out here in most stocks. The energy up was lighter, but not that much lighter, not enough for me to pull the string on this, and makes me think we maybe have one more tag at the top of this market. Is the power law vector indicator a proprietary equation? Yes, it is, but it's based on the physics of power that comes from electronics. Basically resistance, and if you remember your original basic electronics and physics, resistance and voltage and watts, and you can put all those things back together, and you can do it over time, and you get a kilowatt hour. So why it is proprietary, it does work on the basic principle of electricity. And of course, if you had 220 volt or 240 volt, you're going to be able to use a lot more power, like on your air conditioner, than 120 volts. And the power law vector indicator also works out the difference in price. If you have a stock that has doubled in price and someone buys 1 million shares, they're using a whole lot more. If it doubles again, they're actually buying 4 times the dollar amount. So one of the things it does do is look in the movement and figure out that, hey, this thing went up $10 here and it went up $10 here. But maybe it went up $10 from 20 to $30, and then went up $10 from 50 to $60. There's a huge amount of difference in the money that actually came in to push it up that next $10. We all kind of think, so it went up another $10. Every time the price goes up, you are looking at a logarithmic movement of money to move the stock yet again the next time, the $10. And that's why these stocks at the highs tend to break so spectacularly. At one point you get to a place where so much money has to come in to move the stock so much more that it just can't happen. Anyway, when we're looking at YY, a pretty good example of a lot of what I'm seeing in this marketplace, which is the last leg up, not that light. But when it got to the highs, it's all out. And normally that sign sets up some level of consolidation. So what we're looking at, or I'm thinking about, is either gaps below on most of these stocks. In the case of YY here, it's $43 down to just a little over $40. And, of course, if that doesn't hold, then we're also, when this one actually had kind of a little sign of strength, out above these gaps. And if that doesn't hold, then back to the previous low. In the case of YY, it would be August 22nd. Had a question in the den about Netflix, NFLX. And yes, I still think we could get a little bounce out of here. This thing sold off on Monday because they didn't win the Emmys that everybody thought that they would win. But back down to $300. This thing still hasn't busted any idea of a trend line out here, and I don't think we're going to see that change anytime soon. This thing is working on a 3-gap play. The question is, do I still expect one more gap up? And the answer is yes. This thing is not disappointed, and maybe this thing is even higher. I thought that we'd gap from somewhere around $300 to $350, and then I would be buying puts on this thing hand over fist, thinking that was the last gap, that was the exhaustion gap. And the real nice thing about 3-gap plays is they tend to get filled in about 1/4 of the time that they took to actually create them. So if we got a gap up to 350, the logical path for this would be that it would come back in about 1/3 or 1/4 of the time that it took to go up. So we're looking at what out here? September 24th. So we've got a year. Yeah, we've got a year in. So in 3 months, if this thing gapped up to 350 yesterday, I expect it to go back and fill 100 in the 3 months later. We'll be back in just a minute.
Patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
Are you looking for a precision edge in the market? Something that can stack the odds in your favor? Then look into Larry Pesavento's trading newsletter.
Patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
In each weekly issue, Larry explains what's going to happen in the markets based on the pattern he sees developing and gives you actionable trade ideas based on those patterns. Plus, you'll get his detailed analysis on a variety of markets and sectors, including stocks, treasury bonds, the gold market, oil, the dollar, the Forex market, and more. You'll get access to all the patterns Larry is seeing in the markets, plus the Astro Harmonics and powerful Bradley stock market model that Larry utilizes for less than $5 a day. An extremely potent combination that will give you the edge you've been looking for. Try patterns, profits, and peace of mind absolutely free for 2 full weeks. That's an $85 value. Yours free when you register right now.
Get Larry's patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
And get the edge you've been looking for.
On Wednesday, August 14th and Thursday, August 15th, Tom O'Brien advised his Gold Report subscribers to close out 6 of their 9 open positions, all winning trades ranging from a 10.6% profit to an incredible 48% profit in just one equity. And all 6 of those winning trades had been initiated no earlier than just the previous month. With the 600th weekly Gold Report issue fast approaching, Tom O'Brien brings an incredible wealth of knowledge and experience to the gold market and the equities within the industry. That's almost 12 years since this powerful newsletter first began, and right now you can get a 30-day free trial to the Gold Report by visiting TFNN.com. Make sure you're a subscriber, as this volatile gold market provides trading opportunities after declining all the way from $1,900 to under $1,200 an ounce in only 2 years. Get your 30-day free trial to the Gold Report today by visiting TFNN.com. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Questions are the answer. You want a better life? Ask a better question. My driving force in life is, how can I become the intelligence behind financial freedom? It's why I take massive action. It's why I've invested over 10,000 hours and thousands of dollars to create the answer, the ultimate money machine. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, and on Friday, September 27th, I'll be hosting a one-day online master trader course, The Ultimate Money Machine, where I'll teach you the exact same trading strategies that I use every day when trading the markets and advising my newsletter subscribers. Learn how to precisely identify the market's next move, when to pull the trigger by letting the market commit to you before you commit to it, and how to manage your trade to maximize your results, just as we did in the month of August, when I advised my newsletter subscribers of 11 new trades, resulting in 1 loss and a combined profit of 129%. Our next move? It's days away. The cost of this course, $595, less than $2.50 per trading session over the next year. If you're looking for the answer, it's the Ultimate Money Machine. All the details on the front page of TFNN.com.
Join Andy Hecht as he teaches you how to make money in commodities. The Commodities Hour, next on TFNN.
Well, we've got to hurry up. We've got 2 calls to go to, so we're going to go with Tom in Arizona first. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing well. Thanks, David. I have a question. My wife is looking to get a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught part of one of your broadcasts some time back, and you were talking about one you thought was better than the others. So can I get your opinion on what you believe would be a good one to buy?
I like the Nexus ones, the reference designs from Google themselves. How much money were you thinking on spending? $300, $400, $200?
200 or 300, I imagine.
At the low end, for what, $175, $178, you can buy the Kindle. For about $300, you could buy the Nexus 7, which is the reference design for them. If you were going to spend $300, I'd certainly buy the Nexus.
Okay. Now, can she use that as a reader?
Yeah.
Reader also.
Yeah. Download the PDF reader, and you can read to your heart's content. It's not as good as a Paperwhite from Kindle at reading books, but you basically don't just have an e-reader at that point.
Yeah.
So if you want a full tablet, Kindle has both a 7 and a 10-inch version. If you were going to go to the 10-inch version, I'd certainly look at some of the other ones, but those are going to be $350, $400, $450. So you're probably looking at, a 7-inch tablet. And I'd probably, at the low end, buy the Kindle. At the high end, buy the Nexus reference design, which is the one Google basically spec'd out.
Can you use a GPS, that as a GPS system also?
Only if you get the LTE embedded in it. So normally not. If you're going to use it for mapping, you might as well use your phone unless you want to pay the extra, $30 or $50 a month to get data to the phone. Only the devices with cellular connection come with GPSs for the most part.
Okay, thanks for your help.
You bet. And we've got Bob in Louisville. How you doing, Bob?
I'm fine, David. How are you doing?
Another day in paradise. What are we doing on these?
You're in Florida.
Yeah. What are we doing on GDX here?
Well, I've got your time in the yards.
Yep.
And it shows we're in a ABCD down, and it's tough to stay in this market. And I was just wanted confirmation that you believe we're still in that process, going down to the D and DDX.
Well, if you caught the first part of the show, I think Nugget is the one that's actually telling us exactly what we want to know, and that is it hasn't tested its low out here at 45.50. And I think until we do that, we're not going to know. And my guess is we're going to blow through that and then come back up. And it's going to wash everybody out, and everybody will hate gold and be jumping off bridges and stuff, figuratively, not actually. But they'll have a bad day. And it's going to be such a messy wipeout that no one's going to want to own gold or gold miners, and that's probably when you want to buy. Buy when there's blood in the streets.
Now, do you see that blood in the streets happening in the next 10 days, 30 days?
We're awful close. We're awful close to this. We're at 47.50 for the low today. In Nugget, but I think that these 3-time share ETFs, it blows out people a lot quicker, a lot harder, and normally I look to there because those are the ones that are going to be the quickest on the draw to sell and buy, and also is going to be the most exaggerated move out of these. So I could see the thing down at $40 or something, and if the volume lightens up, you get a double top of the test of the bottom down there, that's probably where I'd take my shot.
Okay, then we'll load up the wagon, I guess, huh?
You bet. Back up the truck. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Recently, Basil Chapman has had some outstanding trades in his newsletter, The Opening Call. Each morning by 9 a.m., Basil uploads his newsletter to the TFNN servers so that his subscribers can access his expert trading advice. Basil gives his take on the direction of key indices and updates any active trades that his subscribers are currently in. Just recently, Basil's subscribers closed out a short position in Chipotle Mexican Grill, CMG, for more than an $86 profit per share, over a 20% gain in just one position. If you'd like to try out Basil Chapman's newsletter, The Opening Call, then visit the front page at TFNN.com and click Trading Newsletters. There you'll find Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, where you can request a free sample copy. Also, don't miss Basil's program, The Tiger Technicians Hour, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, on TFNN.